Yeah, so this is a fair use from the Act of 1976. Disclaimer, Section 107, under critical and teaching and scholarship and educational purposes, research. I am not making any money off this. This is fair use, fair use. Yeah, so this is a politics. This is a Benzinga. U.S.-Iran war update, March 30th. Trump threatens Iran over Hormuz. Spain blocks U.S. from using bases. Iranian leaders divide emerges. Right, so these are things that's going on, right, within the war, basically. Yeah, so with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Kahaloyim, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops of Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect. The elect, shalom, to the Israelite foreigners, whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to your sisters, your chwatim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This is your brother Ram Yehuda with the lesson. Yeah, it says, here are the latest developments in the U.S.-Israel-Iran war on Monday as the conflict enters in its fifth week since it began on February 28th. On Sunday, President Donald Trump, said he would prefer to take the oil in Iran and suggest the U.S. could seize the key export hub of Kahraga Island. Yeah, Har Island. Har Island, if I'm saying that right, drawing parallels to Washington's approach to Venezuela, right, as American troops deployment to the Middle East ramp up. Trump also indicated that a regime change in Iran has been accomplished. Yeah, it says Trump threatens Iran over Hormuz. The President Trump warned that America will destroy Iran's power plants, oil wells at Horg Island if the Strait of Hormuz isn't reopened immediately. And peace deals isn't quickly researched, while nothing not even talks, not well no not nodding. How do you do this, bro? Yes, Trump threatens Iran over Hormuz. President Trump warned that America will destroy Iran's power plants, oil wells, and Kurg Island if the Strait of Hormuz isn't reopened, right? So I guess I had to look at Kurg, right? Isn't reopened immediately, and peace deals isn't quickly reached, right? But he just said there's supposed to be already a regime change. So I mean, you shouldn't have to threaten if there's a regime change. Well, it is, man. To the next, what do they say? Next man up, right? In the pros, yeah. But except for they're going to war with you. You're not being your little puppets, obviously, while nodding talks with a new, more reasonable Iranian regime, right? LCC warns oil prices could reach 200, right? Which is talking about a barrel, I believe. It says Egyptian President Abdul Fattah el-Sisi during the Egypt Energy Show 2026 Energy Conference in Cairo called on Trump to stop the war in the Gulf, warning it could trigger service economic shock. Supply shortage, and surging oil prices potentially exceeding $200 per barrel, right? Which they was already talking about that. Then that was kind of pretty much almost before the war started, which leads me to think this is something that they wanted to do anyway. They, because this is that insiders thing, UK won't join Iran war. It says British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, speaking in the West Midland, emphasized that the war in Iran is not UK's conflict, pledging to protect citizens and natural interests while supporting Gulf partners and insisting Britain will not be dragged into the fighting, reported the Sky News. Yeah, so this is it says continuing on. It says Spain blocks bases from Iran strikes. This is Spain's defense minister Margarita Robles confirms that this country will not allow U.S. or Israeli use of its Moran or Rata military bases or airspace for operations against Iran, calling the war profoundly unjust, reported CNN. All right, so they say they don't want no parts of it, basically. Which, this is just going into them basically hating the whore, This is Minister of Foreign Affairs, Iran spokesman Esmail Baghai said Iran has had no direct talks with U.S., only indirect messengers via intermediaries. He questions U.S. diplomatic credibility, accused Washington of inconsistencies and distanced Tehran from the regional meeting, like those led by Pakistan, while urging clarity on who instigated the conflict. Reported, this is Al Jazeera, right? Well, obviously, the U.S. Instigated the conflict, right? Yeah, it says rocket strikes Kuwait airport. Rocket hits Kuwait's Mohammed Allah air base near Baghdad International Airport, destroying an aircraft, but caused no casualties. Authorities are assessing the damage and investigating the source of the attack. Yes, it says probe found lapse in IDF conduct. It says Israel Defense Force Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir concluded an inquiry into soldiers' behavior towards journalists during an evacuation operation, finding multiple failures, breaches of protocol, and a inappropriate communications with the press. The IDF reaffirms its commitment to press freedom, expressed regrets, and suspended the brigade's deployment. Zamir called the incident a serious ethical violation, stressing that weapons must be used only for mission purposes and not for revenge. Right? So, yeah, they must be. Yeah. Well, they're so when it comes to them, they're so used to controlling the narrative with the news and things like that. That yeah, you know. This is what I was really trying to get to. I'll just skip down here, and it says Iran power rift deepens amid crisis. This is senior Iran analyst Dor Balazada told C14 News Israel that leaked details point to a deepening power struggle in Iran as President Mazen Pezeshka, right, however you say it, reportedly clashed. Let me see if you can say how you say it. Pezeshkian, yeah, something like that. Pezeshkian clashed with the Revolutionary Guard, according to a reckless control that could collapse the economy, sources suggest that the IRGC has taken over key state functions, blocked his resin, resin, re, res, resignation. Yeah, blocked his resignation and sidelined him from U.S. talks, leaving the president feeling powerless and like a hostage. Wow. Right. Because
Resignation.
Resignation, yeah, resignation. Blocked his resignation and sidelined him from talks. With him from U.S. talks, leaving him. Yeah. So this is coming from them too, so it might be a lie because they've already said they haven't talked to them, and it's only been through middle people. So they haven't had like a direct talk anyway. But this is Israel news, so they're trying to say that there's a power struggle within the office, but it don't seem like it, right? Yeah. So this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 3. It says, "And I saw one of the heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed." Right? Speaking of what? There was a time period, a 1,000 years, where Esau was locked away in the Caucasus Mountain. Not locked away as far as locked down, but the Lord put the dust and confusion upon him, even took his ability to speak away from him so that he could not deceive the nations anymore, right? Because prior to that, he was the Roman Empire, and to prove that he had intelligence before that time period when they were the Roman Empire, Pontius Pilate put in 3 different languages on above Yahushua when they crucified him. They put 3 different languages. What was it? Hebrew, Paleo Hebrew at that. Not this. What they call modern Hebrew, or it definitely was not Aramaic. It was Paleo Hebrew. So it was Latin, Hebrew, Latin, and I believe it was Greek, right? And right, being that they were the Roman Greco Empire, which is the same, the Edomites ruling at that time, but they had some intelligence, but the Lord took away that ability to speak. And when you go into it, I believe it was Job speaks about them bewraying as a donkey, right? Basically, to a regular person it'd be nonsensical because they're just grunting. It sounds like just making noise. But that was their form of communication, to the point that the Lord put the dust, the confusion, going back into Revelations, right? Putting that dust and confusion on them, saying that they will have that dust all the days of their life, and they have that now, via this war, and then the Lord said they did not put it into their heart that to consider their end. That's confusion. That's not smart, right? But they were healed, and all the world wondered after the beast, right? Being NATO, right? Because at one point in time, was England had the world reserve currency, and then eventually, the eighth, which came out of Because the 7 horns, and then the 8th horn being America coming out of England, the little horn, which is America, and got dominance in the world reserve currency. And it says, and they worship the dragon, right, which is the Roman Empire. So NATO, EU, and America, which is the Roman Empire, revised, or was it the rebirth of Rome? NATO, EU, and America, which gave power unto the beast, right? Because basically the hub of the beast power has been Britain. The money, the finance, everything, which is the beast, which is over there in Europe, which is the bottomless pit, and they basically had to do all these different things to bring substance to Europe because it's the bottomless pit, right? But people gave power to the beast, right? Like I said, starting with Europe, because they had the world reserve currency at one point in time, and they worshiped the beast, saying who is like unto the beast, right? Dealing with the NATO, that power structure that they decided to come together with, via like World War One, World War Two. They ended up becoming an alliance, right? NATO and America. So it's like, who can make war with the beast? Who is able? Who is like unto the beast, and who can make war with him? So what power structure was there in the world? Like who's like it? But now you got the BRICS. So that's who's like it now. The BRICS is like it. Yeah, so this is Isaiah chapter 14, verse 9. It says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming, right? Because this is your end, you're falling. Because at one point in time, people will say, hey, who can make war with him? Who's like unto this guy? Who got the ability? You got NATO, you got the NATO nations, you got America, which is powerful. Oh shoot, big bad America, right? People were afraid, The only one that dropped, made fire come down from heaven, Hey, everybody was afraid of you, But now it's saying, hey, look, this is your end. Hell from beneath, right, which is the grave, right? Which hell is also a condition, right? Meaning a bad time, evil, a bad time. You're not looking at good times right now, right? What they say, hard times make strong men, right? Strong men make good times. Weak men make hard times. And right now you're at the weakest you've ever been, because all the good times, the people already put in the work from the time of the Great Depression and all these other different times, and put this place to where it had a level of comfortability, so much is so that people gave themselves over into the system, completely completely head over heels trusting in the government. And now that's gonna destroy. That's gonna be the thing that destroys everybody, because they're weak. They're weak, but also you're weak, right? Because this is the time of what your judgment, right? Stirring up the dead, right? For thee, even all the chief ones of the earth, right? Because they were all sorts of what do you call it? Rulers who lived in ancient times. You got which Khan was speaking about. What's his name? Bibi, Genghis Khan, and you got the, what do you call it? You got the Chinese dynasty. All those rulers are back right now. The ones who the Lord set up to have a great military mind. All the different what do they call? Because I know they call them Iran now, but they're the Persians. You had different military minds when it came to the Persians. Back in the time when the Persians were ruling. So you got all these different, the Chinese dynasty when they were ruling. You got the Persians when they were ruling. And all those spirits are back, right in time for World War III, right? At the time that you're declining, the Lord said that He's taking the wisdom from Teman. He's taking the wisdom out of Edom, and this will be the time you would need military wisdom, right? Meanwhile, these Persians, these Chinese, even the Russians are, even though a lot of them are Edomites, but for whatever reason, the Lord has them set up to where their military mind, their focus is there. I mean, you got the equipment, you got the technology, supposedly, but then your technology is being made weak by something small, which goes into what the Lord said that He would do. He will make the showing you that the Lord, He says that He will make He will confine the wise in their own craftiness, and that's what the Lord is doing. He's confining you in your own craftiness, man. Right? And it says, so that's kind of like, which is like reincarnation. Those spirits are back for this World War III, and it has raised up from the thrones all the kings of the nation. See, and that's what the Lord's going to do. He's going to bring them all to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, bringing you all there. You can have this great war, World War III. It says, all they that spake, saying unto thee, are thus also become weak as we. See, there was one point in time when they was like, who can make war with this guy? But now, nobody's looking at you like they can't make war with you. The BRICS in itself is a formidable foe against you, especially when you're stuck out there on the island all alone. France won't let you use their air bases. England won't let you use their air bases. Some places in the Middle East won't let you use their air bases. So you went around the world destroying things and developing things, and that was going to be a formidable thing to have in the time where you're at right now, to be able to use those bases, which would have gave you strength. But the people that are allied with you, the B system, they're not playing along. So now you're just as weak as any other nation. What have ye become weak? So thou has also become weak as we, or thus become like unto us, right? Because now you're out there on the island all alone, and where's all your allies, all the people that you helped in wars, and then you did all these different things with? They're nowhere to be found. Because basically what it says, thy pomp, right, which is your pride, is brought down to the grave. See, and that's where you're headed to. A financial collapse, in everything, financial, military, government. Everything about you is about to be done away with, man. No more. Like the grave, someone dies, you put their body in the grave, and that's it. You're never going to talk to or see that person ever again, and that's basically where you're headed to, right? And the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread, right? And that's what happened, because through all this years, instead of focus on what you're supposed to be focusing on, you did go to a lot of wars, and obviously you didn't get anything from it. No real wisdom, right? When you got a $20,000 drone that's destroying your $4 million Patriot missiles and in your ships, but it's also because the Lord is done with you. Your hell is meeting you at your coming, right? And what it is, the worm is spreading, which means decay. Once you had this once powerful military, and now it's decaying. You had this great money reserve, and that's decaying. You had the world reserve, and they're doing de-dollarization. That's decaying. So everything about you is decaying, right? Morally, spiritually, financially. I mean, everything about you is decaying, right? That's that worm covering. Because when you're dead and in the grave, the worm come and eat the corpse, which basically means it's decomposing, and that's what you're at, like a decomposing state, right? You're this place is failing, it's decomposing. It says, under thee and the worm covered thee. See, you're in complete, and pretty soon you're about to be in complete covered in just oh, right there, look, 300 casualties. See, it just came up, right, showing it. Yeah, 300 casualties and counting. Pentagon confirms grim milestone in Iran. Trump president from, oh yeah, he's gonna make a April deadly. Yeah, so there you go, showing you're being destroyed. At one point in time, that would have never happened to your military, right? Yeah, so this is 2 Esdras chapter 11 verse 40. And the fourth came and overcome all the beasts that were passed, right? Right, going into they're on top after the other nations had ruled, going into the statue in Daniel. But it says that it said they overcome all the beasts, being, it's kind of like a reincarnation, showing you that you've done it to these people once, you took over them, right? Because there's such thing as reincarnation, because all these nations are under you, right? Under your vibration, right? Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, right? But this is basically talking about back then, because it's talking about time that the fourth beast rose up, which would be the Roman Empire, which also known as the Roman Greco Empire, because the same Edomites that ruled Greece, came back and ruled Rome, right? Through their reincarnation region, which showing that these certain leaders, like now, like we Apostle Hart goes in on Trump being Nero reincarnated. So so you would have to have those same rulers that were ruling in the time of Greece coming back to rule in the time of Rome, which in turn these other nations, right? It says that they would have their rulers reincarnate and return back, and it's saying that he overcome all the beasts that were past, that came before them, right? And had power over the world, right? And that's where you're at right now. You have power over the entire world, not just the known world. Back then, it was just, there was only the, that part of the world, the Western part, the Americas, so to speak, right? To for lack of a better word, was not inhabited like that. It wasn't known, but now it's known, right? Because you rule the entire world, right? Have power over the world with great fearfulness, right? And have everybody afraid. And the whole compass, and it's not just talking about just the little part of the world, the known world. Now you have the whole compass of the world right now, whole compass of the earth with much wickedness. See, and that's where you're at. That's where we're at now. The whole compass of the earth has much wickedness, man. Oppression, and so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit, right? So you basically you've had your run, and your run is filled with nothing but deceit. For the earth has had not judged, for the earth hast thou no judge with truth, not judged with truth, right? For thou hast afflicted the meek, right? Starting with the Israelites, right? Especially the elect of the nation of Israel, right? But you hurt other nations too, little children and women and all the other stuff. But the main thing is the Israelites. That's who you should have never touched. Thou hast hurt the peaceable. Yeah, see, that'd be the Israelites. Thou hast hurt the peaceable. Thou hast loved liars. See, and that's where you're at right now. That's why hell is meeting you at your coming. That's why at one point in time there was someone saying, "Man, who can make war with this guy? Who's good enough to what we're gonna do? We don't have nothing to do but subject and let's just make the world currency the American dollar. You know. And I mean, the crazy thing about being on top is people love you when you're on top, but when you're at the bottom or you're looking as weak as I am, there ain't really no respect. And right now, there's no respect for you like that, right, in the world. That's the craziest thing. That's why the greatest thing is fear. That's why the Lord wants fear, right? You can love him all you want, but the main thing is fear. The Lord needs his fear first. He needs fear and he needs his reverence. If you're gonna love me, you gotta love me with some reverence. But fear comes first. You know what I mean? Even that guy, dang, got the name of the movie, but the dude, he was a mob boss. He said, "What do you like? Would you rather be loved or feared?" He's like, "I'd rather be feared." Hey, and that's where it's at. Fear, you know. But thou hast loved liars and destroyed the dwellings, right? Yeah, of them. Yeah. See, and that's all you ever been doing. You've been destroying the earth. So basically, judgment has to come that brought forth fruit. Yeah, you even destroyed your own farmers. Farmers are supposed to bring forth the fruit and the cattle and the different things in the earth and so everybody can eat. I mean, that's, the doctors, you destroy the fruits, the doctors, you destroy everything. All the things that's beneficial. You destroy it, and has cast down the walls of such as did thee no harm. Yeah. And that's you, America, as a whole. So now you're at a time that no one's there to defend you, not even your allies. It says, therefore is thy wrongful dealings come up unto the highest, right? So the Most High it's the time that you're being judged. That's why no matter what you do, everything is failing, right? No matter how you fight this battle, no matter you come this way, left, right, down, up, everything you do, it's failing. Hell is going to meet thee at thy coming, which means your fall, your ruin, right? It says, and thy pride unto the mighty, right? Right? So the Most High is going to basically judge you, destroy you, right? It says the highest, which is the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, also have looked upon thy proud times, and behold, they are ended, right? See, all that pride, the thing that you loved so much, this whole thing, this bravado, that's all done. No one's got fear for you. Your whole thing, it's like decay, like it's decaying. You do have a great military. You got all these weapons, but it's still not going to be beneficial for you. It's just your time. The Lord's, like, basically the proverbial rug is being taken from underneath your foot, and no matter what you do, you can't get a good footing, which goes into the understanding of Jacob holding fast the heel of Esau's heel. It's sweeping you, taking you off your feet, and you're trying to get a footing. You're trying to get balance, but if one foot is in the air and not to mention being snatched back, your other foot is starting to slip, and you're trying to get a grip, but you only got one way to try to get a grip. You only got one foot, and the other one can't come down to get that the balance, which you've already been there. Like you've already had the first leg of Rome, right? That's out of there. Now you're on the second leg of Rome, and that's being swept, or like I said, the proverbial rug is being taken from underneath you, and you're getting swept. You're being getting down, being swept from underneath you, and you don't understand why everything is so unbalanced, and it's your end. Behold, which means feast your eyes, look, pay attention. They are ended, right? So all them good times, happy days, and good times, those are done. And he and his abominations are filled, right? Yeah. So now your sins is reached unto heaven. Yeah. So yeah. So your abomination is filled. So now it's your judgment, right? So therefore appear no more, thou eagle, right? Which we know this is talking about ancient Rome. But really, this actually befits more of America right now, because you can go over there and see ancient Rome. But what Rome, right? Rome 2.0, won't you see no more? That's America, right? You know, the daughter of Babylon, right? Which this is Rome all over again. You're not gonna see this place no more again. It's gonna appear no more. Thou eagle, right? Nor thy horrible wings, right? Left wing, right wing, Republican, Democrat, plebeian, patrician, right? Going back into the ancient Rome, right? That basically this is, but hey, it actually fits this modern Rome right here, because it says, nor thy wicked fathers, right? Because going into the Lord said, you should not fill the face of the world with cities anymore, right? You said, no, the Lord says he's not going to leave nor son nor nephew, right? Being that the father is the progenitor of the race, and that's you get the seed from the father, not from the mother, right? That's why, nor thy malicious heads, right? Because that's what your malicious heads will tell you. Oh yeah, I'm you-ish through my mother. Well, that's not what the scriptures say, and that's not reality. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Even if you didn't believe in the Bible, you know that has to come from the Father, because even in secular or world history, the woman gets the man's name, the father's name. The daughter has the father's name, then she get married and then gets her husband's name. So you know that and then each child, whether male or female, gets his last name. So we know it comes from the father. The father is the progenitor. So you're going to get Obadiah 1:18. You're not going to fill the face of the world with cities anymore, nor thy father's malicious heads, right? Telling us nonsense and miseducations and governments and what is it? Drones and clones and GMO foods and pollution and mRNA, just a bunch of madness, degenerate, plastic madness, man. You know what I mean? What is it? The micro C-hip, can't buy or sell unless you have the micro C-hip, right? No more malicious heads, man. That's malicious, right? To starve out people, to tell them, hey, look, you gotta be enslaved. You gotta be digitally enslaved, or you can't eat. Being that the Most High created the planet, He created the apples, the oranges, the pears, the animals. Hey, it says that you complain before the Father day and night against the brethren, right? Which means a false accuser. But hey, you even falsely accuse the animals, man. Saying that the animals let off too much carbon monoxide or something like that. Like, you even lie on the animals, bro. So your wickedness is done. Like, malicious heads, nor thy harmful claws, right? Claw squab, yes. No, Charles. But yeah, that's harmful claws, nor all thy vain bodies, right? Yeah, that's this place, man. And it says, and all the earth may be refreshed. And see, that's what's going to happen, man. When you're out of here, the whole world is going to be refreshed. The earth may be refreshed and may return, being delivered from thy violence. And that's what you're doing, man. You had 20-year war over there against the Taliban, and then we got nothing out of it. The U.S. citizens got nothing out of it. The Taliban got nothing out of it. The earth got nothing out of it. It's just a fight for no apparent reason, and got nothing out of it but more violence. Because then Biden had them get out of there and left more weapons. So that means them people got more terrorized with these nice, good American weapons. You left them there. So that means if they were high tech or had some type of technology, they probably took it and reverse engineered it to see what it is. And so now you're wondering why these drones are formidable against your thing, because they took it and broke down your drones or whatever you left over there, and you know, and found out the flaws in it, and now they're exposing you. But that's really because the Lord wants you out of here, right? Because the world must be delivered from you, delivered from thy violence, and that she may hope for judgment. See, and that's what we're coming to, the time of judgment day. You're going to the valley of Yahweh-Shaphat, the valley of judgment, the valley of decisions, the valley of troops, right? The valley where you're not coming back from. It says, and mercy of him, which is the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, that made her. So with all that, I'm going to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rachahakwadash, like double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well, to the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners, phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To your sisters, your chwatlim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. And a Bible ball, Kwame Yasharallah.